Most of us can hardly remember our first few years of life. But whether we remember them or not, they shape us. They are part of who we are. Aaron was 2 years old when he was rescued from online sexual exploitation. The suspect was Aaron's father.
We conducted a rescue and arrest on July 10, 2019. The suspect was German national living in Lapu-Lapu City, Philippines. The victim was his son. The suspect is a computer engineer. 2 years prior, in 2017, investigators from Queensland Police Service in Australia found evidence that showed he has producing and distributing child sexual exploitation materials, and that his son was one of the victims. At that time, Aaron's mother, a Filipino, was not living with them. I was part of the advanced investigative workshop conducted by the International Justice Mission last March 25 to April 5, 2019, under the Child Protection Compact, in which we worked with international law enforcement. During the workshop, we were given actual cases to investigate. The case of Aaron was assigned to my team at the Philippine National Police Women and Children Protection Center, Visayas Field Unit.
Online sexual exploitation of children is a crime unique to our digital age. Technology has broken geographic boundaries in good and helpful ways, but this has also opened the door for children to be exploited using the same platforms that connect people and bring communities together.
Online sexual exploitation of children is committed in hidden places such as homes. A trafficker offers a child to a customer in a developing country, and the customer pays, and the trafficker arranges a live show in which the child is obligated to do what the customer demands. Many of the abused are scared and perplexed with the depth, nature, and reason for this abuse. They are also defenseless. IJM assisted in the investigation and rescue of Aaron, and so I took on the role of a private prosecutor.
Because the online sexual exploitation of children is a borderless crime, we need law enforcers around the world to work together to end it. PICAC, or the Philippine Internet Crimes Against Children Center, was inaugurated in February 2019, right around the time Aaron's case was referred by international law enforcement to Philippine law enforcement.
Even before the advanced investigative workshop in 2019, law enforcers from 3 countries were already working together on this case: Australia, Germany, and the Philippines. The information on investigation was shared with the Philippine Internet Crimes Against Children Center, and the case was referred or assigned to the PNP WCPC Visayas Field Unit. IJM supported VFU as they located the children in the exploitative images. Further investigation revealed the location of the German perpetrator. He was arrested in Lapu-Lapu City, and Aaron was rescued. Aside from Aaron, there were 5 other children, either victims or at risk, who were brought to safety in a back-to-back rescue operations in 3 cities.
The story was on the news. A story like this sends out a clear message to the criminals. Don't think you can get away with what you are doing.
In 2017, 2 years before the rescue of Aaron, a child protection compact was formed between the Philippines and the US. The CPC, a 4-year project, was funded by the US government.
The Child Protection Compact paved the way for more effective information sharing, particularly in the area of international law enforcement referrals. Training programs were also established to increase the capacity and capability of our law enforcement partners in the Philippines. One of these trainings was the Advanced Investigative Workshop, or AIW. It truly was a unique and first-of-its-kind experience in that international law enforcement experts from all over the globe came to the Philippines to provide mentorship and training to Philippine law enforcers while working real, active investigations that were assigned to their teams. There even was corporate support in that PLDT and SMART provided stable internet connection for the training. Major Ibo and the Visayas Field Unit of the Philippine National Police Women and Children Protection Center were participating in one of our AIW trainings when Aaron's case was assigned to their team. The impact of the AIW training was tremendous. It strengthened local and international law enforcement relations and communication. It increased capacity building and sharpened training implementation in the Philippines. And this was all achieved while handling actual cases and making progress on real investigations of online sexual exploitation, such as Aaron's.
Analyzing digital evidence is a key part of the Advanced Investigative Workshop, and I saw how learning from this training played out during the investigation, the implementation of the cyber warrant, and the eventual arrest of the German perpetrator in Lapu-Lapu City. In preparation of the evidence for trial, IGM Cebu facilitated a meeting between the digital forensic examiner of PNP ACG and the investigators from WCPC VFU and the German BKA to assess the evidence recovered from the perpetrator. In a follow-up investigation and international collaboration, another German offender was identified and later arrested in Germany.
Children need more protection than ever before. They are not safe today, even at home.
This work often feels very heavy to see how children are being used by traffickers and abusers, but I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve and to keep learning. It is fulfilling to save these children from what is being done to them.
Working on cases like this can be heartbreaking, but there is always a silver lining, and that is the joy that comes from being able to bring hope and justice to these children.
Tragically, the children who are victims of this crime are often very young, under the age of 12. And they are often trafficked by the very people who are supposed to protect them. Imagine with me being young and unable to developmentally understand what's happening and being trafficked online by your mom, dad, a neighbor, a family friend, while somebody on the internet directs the sexual abuse that's happening to you. For those of us who have had to see the images and see the videos and seen the children, I can assure you that it's horrifying and it's heartbreaking and it's something that will stay with you forever.
The safest place for a child should be in the arms of a parent. But when it is the parents themselves who offer their children for exploitation, there's a way for the children to be rescued and brought to safety. They may be too young or too afraid to cry out for help, but there's a system working to protect every child, to come to their aid without them having to say a word. Aaron was carried away from his home that day, a home that wasn't really a home. Some children are born into safe, loving homes. Others have to fight for their right to live in safety and freedom.
Whether or not a child has family to protect them, they are shielded by the law and by people who care. People from many non-government and government agencies that work together to ensure that survivors like them are treated with dignity, value, and respect.
Our laws reflect how much children are valued, but also how much we need to protect them, because there are always people who wish to harm them.
The law creates a shield around the child while penalizing the offender. Online sexual exploitation of children is a crime that violates the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act, which comes with a maximum penalty of life imprisonment and a fine of 2 million to 5 million pesos. Previous convictions for online sexual exploitation of children sentenced the trafficker to significant prison time.
While Aaron was safe at the shelter, many children were not, with many other abusers and traffickers still out there.
What typically happens in cases like this is, as long as the prosecution can provide proof beyond reasonable doubt, the abuser or trafficker, at the end of the process, will receive the appropriate sentencing. It is important for the punishment to fit the crime and for the victim to receive not only justice, but the assurance that they cannot be victimized again by the abuser.
In cases of online sexual exploitation of children, some kids are too young to speak and testify. And for those who are old enough to do so, oftentimes it can be traumatizing for them to recount the abuse. But at the same time, we need to gather evidence that provides sufficient proof of the abuse. This has been done in previous cases, barely risking the restraint and detainment of the abusers. In Aaron's case, the first priority was to get through inquest. All documents must be presented for a decision on whether the case can be filed. The challenge is this process usually allows the victim and the abuser to see each other. And to safeguard the child, we use video in-depth interviews or VDs. With child interviews captured in video, the child does not have to see his or her abuser. This child protective remedy has been in place for over 20 years. A training program called Prosecuting Online Sexual Exploitation or POSE, conducted by IJM, the U.S. Department of Justice, and the Interagency Council Against Trafficking, covers examination and appreciation of digital evidence.
The pandemic happened while this case was ongoing. So not only were our teams adjusting for the case, they were also testing and tweaking new methods of protecting children during the lockdown. As lawyers, we choose the way that is best for the child. How the victory was achieved is just as important as the victory itself.
During inquest, while there were 6 children in total who were rescued, none of them were ready yet to testify. Eventually, one of the older children testified on BD. In Aaron's case, the good thing was at the time of inquest, we had sufficient digital evidence consisting of the results of the forensic examination on abuse devices, as well as evidence provided by local and international law enforcement.
The prosecution and conviction of the abuser is crucial not just for the case at hand, but as a piece in a larger puzzle. In the process of investigating one case, authorities sometimes find evidence of intent of other suspects to commit a crime. Interagency and international partnerships and collaboration help us succeed in ending impunity. Battling online sexual exploitation of children has always been a community effort.
The CPC provided vital resources in strengthening casework, gathering digital evidence, working with forensics experts. These are all ways of holding up shields around the child. With all these systems in place, the case does not rest on the shoulders of the child anymore. A toddler like Aaron can have a strong case. The conviction rate in cases of online sexual exploitation is high, and it is thanks to every individual and organization doing their part. The children depend on all of us to show up when it counts.
The law does not only punish the offender, it also outlines a pathway for survivor recovery. It sets the stage for aftercare, allowing survivors to journey from crisis to restoration. Survivors like Aaron will not only see justice done in their cases, they will also have hope to rebuild their lives.
We hardly remember our early years of life. We hope that Aaron is spared from the memory of abuse he experienced very early in his childhood. Abuse leaves its mark, unseen scars. The digital images of the abuse are still out there and could surface again in Aaron's life. What will happen to him? Can he experience joy in his childhood? Will he learn to love? Will he learn to forgive? What does tomorrow look like for children like Aaron? After he was rescued, Aaron was in the custody of the Department of Social Welfare and Development.
After a child is taken into custody, they're taken through a standard post-rescue assessment. An interagency team determines where they should be placed. For Aaron, a shelter in Cebu was his first temporary placement.
Indeed, there is strong interagency collaboration in the aftercare response. The Foster Care Working Group was formed on June 1, 2018. The members are DSWD, IJM, Norville, and Parenting Foundation. These organizations work together to provide the best and specialized care for the child.
The assessment stage is crucial. Sound assessment makes way for an effective intervention plan for survivors. When Aaron was assessed, he was exhibiting psychosocial impacts relating to his experience.
Online sexual exploitation of children is not a virtual crime. It happens in real time to real children, and the consequences are very real. At IJM, recent research which we conducted found that when you compare the impacts of traditional child sexual abuse to the online sexual exploitation of children, the results are very similar. Whether there is physical touch or not, there can be devastating impacts which include problematic sexual behaviours, difficulties building intimacy and trust, and relational ambivalence even into adulthood. The impacts are very real, and even within a supportive and caring environment, often take a long time to heal.
After assessment, Aaron was referred to another partner for therapy. Our trauma-informed approach goes beyond basic needs like food and shelter. It provides specialized response aimed at recovery and treatment. Because Aaron was only 2 years old at the time of rescue, he was referred to and assigned to a foster home. A family-based settings meets many of the unique needs of very young survivors like him.
Foster care is crucial for these child survivors. The foster families are licensed by the Department of Social Welfare and Development and Norville Foundation. They're also trained in caring for the specific needs and responding to specific challenges that child survivors face. As a foster parent, you have to be prepared when the child shows one of these negative signs or negative effects, such as self-destructive behavior or touching themselves or others in a disturbing way. You have to know what is the right response and how to train the child. We have learned from past situations in which the foster parents found themselves unable to handle the children and would return them to the shelter.
The foster parents selected for Aaron were recruited and carefully assessed by Norville in terms of their readiness and capacity. All OSEC survivor cases referred to Norville undergo a process of assessment and matching by the foster care agencies and other team members. It's about finding the perfect match between foster parents and the children.
The Child Protection Compact enabled big advancements in training. Training is one of the foundations of excellence in aftercare. And in the past 4 years, I've witnessed big breakthroughs. Without training, only half of foster families or foster parents were successful. The other half dropped out. Introducing foster care for online sexual exploitation survivors or focused training addressed the needs of foster parents and equipped them for caring for survivors. They were included in the children's therapy sessions. They received instruction on developing healthy children and responding to challenging behaviors.
We are now have this interagency case management that Aaron is benefiting from. He received foster care placement, therapeutic intervention, and the combined expertise of multiple agencies. The process has really been transformed for the benefit of the survivors.
Aaron's foster parents have updated us on how he is doing. Right now, he has really adjusted well to the home and is being homeschooled with positive results.
Many children whose lives are interrupted by exploitation will have to take a long journey home, sometimes moving from one family to another. Aaron's early years may be tainted by trauma, but he is on the path to recovery because of a community that provides a blanket of care, a justice system holding up a shield of protection, and people who won't stop fighting until every child is free.
Justice.
We won't relent. We will fight until the end. We have been sent to protect and to defend. We won't relent. We will fight until the end. We have been sent
to protect and to defend. Let justice flow like a river, flow from the peaks to the ground. Let justice flow like a river,
till only freedom is found. We count the cost.
we will pledge our very lives. All may seem lost, but the kingdom will arise. Let justice flow like a river, flow from the peaks to the ground. Let justice flow like a river, till only freedom is found.
Let justice flow like a river, flow from the peaks to the ground. Let justice flow like a river, till only freedom is found. The coastlines will know, the coastlines will know.
The coastlines will know your justice.
The islands will know, the islands will know.
The islands will know your justice.